Hello everyone, I'm the Barebow Brummy. Spring's finally arrived. We can go outside and do a bit of filming, which means we can also go outside and do a bit of archery, which led me to think about maintaining your bow. And what I thought I'd do is have 6 items that I believe every archer should carry with them. They're not very big, they're not very heavy. There's no reason you can't carry these things either in your quiver, in your archery bag, or in your car. The reason being is because when you shoot one of these bows, with time, what happens is the bolts move. You get vibration and the shock effect when you release your arrow. And what happens is these bolts can come loose and things change in your bow, so you need to be able to check it pretty regularly. Especially if you've been not shooting at all over the winter, you start shooting during the spring and your bow doesn't feel right. You need to check it and adjust it as necessary, but for that you'll need certain tools. So what I've done is I've got a list of tools that you need, in my opinion, to maintain your own bow. We'll first start with one of these. I hope you've already got one of these, but it's a bow square. Vital piece of equipment, probably the most important piece of equipment you could own. They cost next to nothing. Measurements on both sides, centimetres on one side, inches on the other, and you use it to measure your brace height, your tiller height, your plunger depth, your knock point. Literally everything on your bow you can measure with it. Vital piece of equipment. If something is wrong with your bow, you can check your measurements with this and adjust accordingly. Number 2, to adjust your bow accordingly, you're going to need some Allen keys. Either you can have just a set of Allen keys like this, which I've got, or you can have one of these multi-tool things with the clip-out ones. They're quite good, but you can buy one of those. A word of warning though, when you buy your set of Allen keys, most bows, particularly the American bows and the bows made in Korea, have imperial sized Allen nuts on. This caught me out when I first started archery. And if you haven't got any imperial sized Allen keys and you try to use the metric ones, they're slightly off, which means if you put a lot of pressure into them, it'll slip and it will round off the Allen bolt inside the bow, which causes all sorts of problems. You've got to replace it, you can't get the thing undone or tightened. So before you even start to do that, make sure you get yourself some imperial sized Allen keys. That's number 2. Number 3, if you use brass knocks, a pair of knocking pliers. These aren't mine, I borrowed these. And these are fairly cheap. You can get them for £10 or so. They will last you a lifetime. You don't use them that much to wear them out. And it's a piece of a kit that comes in really handy if you use brass knocks. You can damage your string if you use something else. This is perfect. Get yourself a pair of those. Number 4 is some string wax. With the advent of weather in this country, if your string gets wet, you will need string wax to protect it from the weather. It helps make the string shoot slightly quieter. It also preserves the life of the string, makes it last a bit longer. This is really important. You don't need to use these very often, but you still do need to use it. I've actually got 2. I've got a big one, which I use in the workshop, and a small one, which I keep in my quiver. So get yourself some string wax. Number 5 is some serving thread. It is possible that if you're shooting and your knocks are tied, that the knot can come loose and it can unwrap itself. You'll need to replace it pretty quickly, especially if you're in the field and you're halfway through a shoot and you need to do fast. You need to have some serving thread with you. But you don't need to carry a complete roll like this. I mean, this is enormous. I've got this out of the workshop. You just need 3 or 4 feet of it just to get you through the day, and then you can fix it properly when you get home. So carry some serving thread with you. And 6th, and by no means least, a notepad. The notepad is, in my opinion, this is the second most important thing. When you've taken all your measurements for your bow, as I said, brass height, knock height, tiller settings, plunger depth, all that kind of thing. Write them down in a notepad or on a piece of paper, and put that notepad or piece of paper in your quiver. Because I guarantee that when you're out in the field and your bow doesn't feel right, you won't remember what the settings were in the first place. Write them down, you can quickly refer to them, and you can check your bow and adjust it back to where it was in the first place, with the position where it's perfect. So keep a notepad in your quiver. And that are my 6 items for maintaining your bow out in the field. Anyway, that was a really short video, but I hope it's been helpful. I've been the Barebow Brummie. See you soon. Bye bye.